Welcome back to Duda Dojo, your go-to source for the latest Duda news, platform how-tos, and product updates. I'm Jessica, and in this episode, I'm joined by the Director of Search Marketing, Josiah Flex, and the Director of Web Development, Matt McGinnis, to discuss Web Core Vitals and how Duda is the top-rated CMS of 2025. So let's jump right in. Josiah and Matt, we are going to talk about Core Web Vitals. And the main reason why both of you are here is because obviously your knowledge in this area of Core Web Vitals and SEO, but also because Duda, once again, had a super high pass rate.
Heyo.
Yep. Yes, they were the first ones to achieve this last year an 80% pass rate on the majority of their sites. So that's a pretty awesome achievement, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah. For a CMS, yes. I'm actually going to jump to my screen here right away. I have a lot of cool resources to share and then start to pick away at your brains and whether you think this has value or not. It's a little bit of controversy today. Does this even matter? But if you go over to my screen, so you can clearly see Duda is going to celebrate on its own website. You can read all about the testing and the results that they came up with and what they're, trying to achieve in the future and continue to strike for this high performance. But then I also pulled from Looker Studio from Google, so you can see the comparison up close and personal. I mean, Duda is just rocking it when you look at the results of it from the other CMSs that it's stacked up against. Like, I don't know if you would really consider Squarespace a competitor, but definitely WordPress is one that has a big name around it. Yeah. So it's cool to see these results. But my real questions come down to, why does this have value? So we should start at the basic, like what are Core Web Vitals? What do they mean? And what's the value of this?
Yeah, we were told that we shouldn't go like straight nerdy on this. We're going to try to keep it in layman's terms as much as possible. But really, there's three things that Core Web Vitals are looking for. It's talking about loading performance, which is how long does it take for content to appear on the screen?
Yep.
2 is interactivity, or how quickly does the page respond to some user action? And then,
so like a click of a button.
Exactly. Okay. Or a tap on mobile. And then visual stability, which is how much does the page layout actually shift unexpectedly? So those are the three layman's terms. Like that's what we're looking at. The three formal names are largest contentful paint, cumulative layout shift, and interaction to next paint.
Which are just the weirdest terms ever, but hey, you know what? It means something. So
So I mean, those three things, largest contentful paint, again, measures how long does it take for the largest piece of content to appear on the screen.
Yes.
So cumulative layout shift it measures how much does the page's layout shift unexpectedly. I don't know if you've ever been on a website and literally you saw a button and you tried to click on it and it disappears. I know that you have a couple of different examples in your mind.
Oh, really?
The amount of times I've tried to tap on something moved, and now I tapped on an ad that I don't care about. And now I'm on a landing page of an ad that I never wanted to see in the first place.
Right.
I feel like I haven't experienced that in years. So the next time you come across that, you need to send me a link.
I'm on all these
like
shady recipe websites and stuff. Maybe that's what's happening to me.
Yeah.
So then the last one, the interaction to next paint, is like how quickly does a page respond again when you click the right button, and then expect some action to happen.
Yeah. So what you're kind of talking about there is, as a user, what we would understand, like that experience that we're having. So would you say that these Core Web Vitals are most attributed to the user experience? Or
I think from Google's perspective, there's been far and wide algorithm updates and things. Like Google is still trying to be ahead of the game as far as usability at this point, rather than just hey, just get the right words on your page, or even black hat, back in the day, you could hide keywords in white and things like that. But at this point, Google has become increasingly more technologically aware to the point that they're looking at user experience.
Yeah, so they've gotten smarter, and you got to play their game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Josiah, I definitely want to, from your perspective as the director of search marketing, pick this apart a little bit. But before we do that, I want to jump back into my screen. So something interesting is about some of the controversy around CWV. So I'm going to jump over to Search Engine Journal, and they had quoted John Mueller. I could be saying his name incorrectly from Google.
That's right.
Yeah. And he says some contradictory things about CWV scores. I actually noted it here. And so really he talks about how really in the search community that the memo has been put out there to not worry about CWV scores, but later he goes on to contradict that and say, but yeah, we do say we use this in our ranking systems in search. Yeah. So how, I guess, valuable would you say CWV is when it comes to a website that is strategized? Like, are there other elements to consider first?
Totally. I'm of the camp that it's definitely has an influence. But it wouldn't be the first thing or the second thing or even the top 50 things that I would do first to optimize your website, right? So usability absolutely plays a factor into the conversion, right? When someone's on your site, their usability, right? All of that.
Yeah.
But obviously they have to be able to see your page first before they can get to it. And so, all of the ranking factors that we know really move the needle, things like backlinks, relevant content, up-to-date content that actually makes sense. It's engaging with the user. It's internally linked to other relevant pages on the website. Like all of those things you should prioritize first before trying to optimize CWV. Now, the cool thing about the Duda platform is they've taken care of a lot of those things already, so you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
So those are my initial thoughts on it. Is yes, it's a factor, but it wouldn't be the first thing or certainly the only thing that you should focus on to try to improve your rankings.
Yeah.
That's right. Like the balance, counterbalance of it might not be the single most thing that helps you win, but it will absolutely be a detraction, if those things aren't in play.
Like if a button's moving while you're trying to click
exactly.
on it.
Or, to your point, if you got great content, but it takes 8 seconds for it to load, like at this day and age, like when I click on something and it takes a long time for it to load, the first thing I'm thinking is this broken? Like, am I engaging in something that's like, what's going to happen when it finally does load because of how long it's taken to load? Will it actually be helpful?
Yeah.
Like those are the types of things that are going on in, nanoseconds, in your brain.
Yeah.
That you like clicked on this, your expectation was something valuable was going to show up. And if it doesn't in a certain amount of time, then it starts to create distrust.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it comes into play.
Yeah.
Like you have to be aware of some of the things that are technologically happening in order to not completely discredit your content.
Yeah.
Right?
So you wouldn't say this is the first thing. You already said this isn't the first thing you should go after, but it is something to consider in what factors. Like where would you decide I need to pay attention to this? Because I know we've inherited websites where you try to, implement the strategy and let's be real, the website's just janky, so
even on the back end,
you're
trying to navigate in the admin and it's like takes long for things to load.
Yeah. And you're trying to go through and clean it up. I mean, so that's where this would hold some value is correcting for some of these things as you're pursuing the strategy. Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the things would be you can just run page speed insights, see what, pages are actually pushing back some of the errors. And then you can just look at some of them and be like, hey, okay, this one, the reason why this page is loading super slow is it's got this giant video that's trying to load right in the first viewport. So you can do a number of different things to make that faster. And if that's easy for your team to pull off, then it makes sense to make that happen.
Okay.
So those are just some easy places to start. But weighing what the errors are, how long is it going to take for you to fix it? And have you already checked all of the other boxes of things that will really help to move the needle? That will help your decision
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said as well about, we've talked about page load speed before. It's like it's relative to how much information, how many bytes are you literally trying to load on this page, and in what order are you trying to load them? So there are a lot of things that really are in the technosphere that are helpful, especially for Duda's platform.
Yeah.
So the fact that they run on AWS servers, if you've optimized everything on your side, and you have a WordPress website, for example, and you have, cheap hosting, like it's literally like that's your handicap.
Yeah.
Or if it's not on a CDN, or like, so there is an interplay between, like, you could be doing all of the things right on your side, checking all of those boxes. But again, if this is something that's a hardware, issue, then this is a great, advocacy for the way that Duda has built their platform. It's Cloud Run, it's on AWS. They have their CDN, like all of those things are like really helpful, and which is why they have the 80% score that we're talking about today.
I mean, and then because we do obviously build in other systems, but right now the majority of our websites are built in Duda. We're offering our clients the best with this factor as well. We should look at some of the elements that are involved in when you run a scan on your site. So if you go to my screen here, I've picked on this company here, and I've put them into PageSpeed Insights. It's my preferred system that I use to like scan websites. There are other options. SEMrush does this as well. But you can see here, so I already submitted drivecapital.com and I hit analyze. And so this is the results that it gave me for both mobile and desktop. Now it actually has some pretty good performance on both, on mobile, and then desktop, which is typically a little better, has also some great results. But I know we were kind of looking at the desktop view and we wanted to like pick this apart or kind of make some suggestions or observations here. So what would you guys say about some of the results here that we're seeing with this scan?
I mean, some of the first things I'll say, I'll give a little bit of a kind of a caveat to start, and then we can kind of go through some of them, is their mobile rankings and desktop rankings. This is kind of, maybe everybody already knows this, but they are different.
Yes.
They have different ranking factors based on how your website loads on mobile versus how it loads on desktop. And so looking at which errors are happening on which device is really important when you start to look at, hey, we know for a vast majority of businesses, most of their traffic is going to be on mobile. And so paying attention to that makes a lot of sense, especially when you're trying to figure out where you should put your budget and time and resources. Most often it's going to be mobile. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
And there are, there's definitely businesses that I'm thinking of that we work with as well, where we know what those metrics look like. And some of them are, well, they're kind of split even 50-50. Some are weighted mobile, and there are absolutely some that are weighted desktop.
Totally.
Like it's rare that somebody is going to this particular website on their phone. But being aware of it, again, like, because you could do all of the work in the world on your desktop version, and if you're not affecting your mobile version at all, and that's where the lion's share of your traffic's coming from, well, that's less than helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So really in these results, someone, typically a developer, could take this and start to dig into this and investigate what's throwing these errors and hopefully correct for it, which would improve that site speed.
And that's like, it's really kind of the difficulty of, the crux of what we're talking about here is like, you have to build it from the ground up. I've been at this for a while. I've worked with many, many developers, and it's tough really to send them a list like this. Think about it like a car. You've already built this car, so you can attach some performance, aftermarket parts to it, but like the structure is there. So some of these things that are causing errors, or just the way that it's loading those bytes, it's like you can't reconstruct it. Like, you're stuck with it. The way that it was originally programmed is the way that it's going to be. So it's not an easy ask to take one of those scans and then give it to your developer and say, hey, can we fix these? Like, it's rare that you're going to do something drastic that's like, oh, dang, yeah, all we had to do was, fix this error, and now we've got, drastically improved scores.
Yeah.
That's not a reality.
Right. It's not just one and done. Right. I have some additional resources, which I am going to put in the description, but just some opportunities how to fix those common core web vital issues. If anyone, out there listening or watching is interested in that. And if it's too much for you, call RivalMind, we'll take care of this for you.
Or move your website.
Right. Or we'll move your website to Duda. Please move your website to Duda.
There's been a ton of times where like people have come in and they're like, this is what I noticed is like the biggest deal about my website. Mm-hmm. Like people are bouncing because it's not loading fast enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, to the point I was just making, it's far easier and makes far more sense for us to migrate to Duda than for us to try to, send a developer on a fool's errand to try to, can you
spend
fix
money?
This? Yeah. Or upgrade your server so that it moves faster, or, are you on a CDN or not? Like, well, we can put you on a CDN. Most of those things are Band-Aids versus like we can actually and a lot of times, we've talked about migration before. It's like, if your design is fine, like we can just migrate this website.
Exactly.
And to most people's eyes, it'll look predominantly the same, only its core functionality will be that much better.
Yeah. And I mean, every time we've done a migration or we rebuild in Duda, every single one of our clients is just so pleased. So, which kind of in summary, what would you say, Matt, when it comes to like businesses and the different platforms you've experienced, how would this building your website in Duda help a business?
Yeah, I think to the point that I was just making, like you can have so many improvements and this is like, this is ground zero. This is baseline. This is the hardware that your website is running on. Yeah. So the fact that it could be built in a system, which we love, we know the editor's awesome. All of that is like, all of that's gravy, along with the fact that it's on a super fast system. It's running through a CDN. You have those things as your core functionalities.
Yeah.
Like to me, again, we were saying like, it might not be the thing that, puts you at the top, but it can be the thing that's dragging you down in rankings.
Yeah.
So like you are starting with something that's good that you can then do all of the right things from a content standpoint to really start to move the needle for your business.
100%.
Right. We can build a new car that looks basically like your existing car. But when you look under the hood and like all of the little things, the rust that was happening or whatever, like all that's cleaned up. And now you can do what you want with it. You can go the places you want to. All right. I beat the car analogy too far.
I mean, it makes
you know what
sense.
I mean? Like that's what we're talking about is keeping all the things you love about your website, but putting it on a system that takes care of all the things that we know need to be true so that you have a better platform to build your SEO visibility on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, with this discussion, there's no doubt for me that Duda is consistently trying to achieve these performance metrics. And I enjoy working with a CMS or a company that isn't about stalled growth. They're about improving. So this is a win for our clients and anyone else that's looking to build in Duda. So thank you both for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Hey, if you like this dojo video, be sure to try out this one or subscribe to our channel.